In this video, we are going to talk about the COVID situation around the world. I will show you numbers for cases, hospitalizations, and also ICU numbers. And then I will show you a very interesting paper that just came out and which discusses the different Omicron variants and the potential to evade immunity from natural immunity, but also vaccinations. So make sure you watch all the video because I'm going to show you some very interesting data here. And that will explain a little bit more what's happening in terms of infections and immune evasion. And we will also have a special focus on the situation in the UK because of what's happening right now with two ministers of Boris Johnson resigning, including the health minister, health secretary. And this is a little bit concerning because in the last 12 months, there has been 3 different health ministers. So there is obviously a lot of talk right now regarding what's happening in the UK and whether or not Boris Johnson is going to resign. And a lot of people are asking for him to resign. So anyway, we're not going to do politics here. This is a video which is focused on science and facts. But sometimes, and unfortunately too often, science and facts are tied to politics. Thanks a lot again for your interest and for watching these videos. If you liked it, click on the like button. Subscribe to the channel to be informed when new videos are coming out. I will be posting many more videos on this topic and other topics as well. And don't forget to also visit the StanbridgeScientific.com website where you can find a lot more very useful information on COVID-19, the vaccines, vitamin D, and a lot of other topics. Here is the situation regarding the number of cases around the world. For the past months and a half, the number of cases has been pretty stable in the US, and these are the cases per million people, so you can compare them directly from country to country. In the European Union, the number of cases has been increasing a lot over the last month and a half. In the United Kingdom, interestingly, there was a sharp increase too, but the last few days, we see a decrease in the number of cases, as you can see here. We can zoom in. Canada has been very stable. In fact, Canada is doing the best among all these countries in terms of number of cases. Very low number of cases and very stable. It looks like there is no wave in Canada at the moment. Now let's relativize a little bit. As you can see, if we compare to last year, for example, if we compare to the beginning of the year where we had the Omicron variant, which was very infectious, we can see that the numbers are still much lower everywhere. Let's have a look at the number of patients in hospital per million. As we can see again, it's a bit of a similar trend here. In the UK, there has been a sharp increase, in fact, over the past 3 weeks or so. Australia has increased as well, and Canada is, again, probably doing the best of all the countries with relatively low number of patients in hospital. Let's have a look at intensive care. The US have seen a sharp increase in number of intensive care, which is similar to the number of patients in hospital, actually. Canada, again, very low numbers and very flat, and even a small decrease, regular decrease in the number of patients in ICU. Germany and France, representing the EU, quite of a similar pattern here with an increase over the last few weeks in intensive care and increase in the number of patients. But once again, if we compare to January, where there was this huge peak due to Omicron, the first Omicron variant, we can see that the numbers are much lower everywhere, everywhere. And so what about the number of deaths now per million people here? As you can see, this has been decreasing, and that's the good news, I guess. As you can see, these successive waves due to the different Omicron variants, starting with the first BA1 and then the subsequent ones, BA2, BA3, 4, and 5. These translate also in similar peaks in the number of patients in the hospital. However, the good news is that we do not see these peaks here in the ICU. In fact, the number of patients in ICU has been decreasing since March, and the numbers have been very low. There is a slight increase here, as we've seen in the US, But still, numbers are much, much lower than they were in January 2022. So again, that's one good news, because the Omicron variants, and especially the new subvariants, may be infectious and they evade immunity from previous infections and from the vaccines, but they do not translate into more severe cases and more patients in ICU. So that's a really, really good news. This paper was just recently published in Nature. This is an accelerated article preview. This is something a bit new. They're trying to accelerate the publication of some important papers or papers which are hyped. This is a paper from China. And here, one of the main messages is that the new Omicron subvariants, BA.2.12.1, BA.4, BA.5, exhibit higher transmissibility over BA.2, the previous variant. Here you can see the neutralizing activity against the different variants, starting with the Omicron, the first Omicron, BA.1, and all the way to the last BA.4, BA.5 Omicron variants. This data is interesting because they compared the neutralizing activity in the plasma of people who had 3 vaccines or 3 vaccines and a BA.1 infection. And you can see the numbers are quite different. Higher numbers mean higher number of neutralizing antibodies. And you can see that in all cases, the orange dots are always higher than the blue dots. The orange dots are the ones with the BA.1 infection, which means that natural immunity really does provide some extra protection compared to the vaccines. However, you also see that the neutralizing activity is much less against the BA.4, BA.5, as you can see, the numbers are much lower, 104, 75, compared to the first Omicron variant, for example, here. We have much, much higher numbers. And this indicates that the new variants are able to evade immunity. The authors wrote that the new subvariants, BA.2.12.1, BA.4, and BA.5, exhibit higher transmissibility over BA.2, but also comparable ACE2 binding affinity to BA.2. Importantly, however, BA.4 and BA.5 display stronger neutralization evasion than BA.2, which is what we just saw in the results. In conclusion, they wrote that these results suggest that BA.1 derived vaccine boosters may not achieve broad spectrum protection against new Omicron variants. So that's it for this short video, and I will be coming back for more. So thanks a lot again for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you have any special requests, special topics you would like to discuss in more detail. I hope you liked the video. If you did, then click the like button, and I will see you in the next video.